Tamam. Hello, everyone. Good evening, and I hope everything is good. So, again, this is Hussein Mustafa, the program manager for the Arab IoT and the AI Challenge and the United Arab Emirates Challenge. Today, we start our camp. In the first day, we have like 2 days of trainings, and we will have like engineer Ashraf with us and engineer Kariman, who are presenting intersection.world. Intersection.world is like an organization which empower entrepreneurs to create user-friendly and beneficial products and services. We provide facilitation workshops on topics such as user research, prototyping, and testing, as well as co-working spaces, amenities, and vibrant local communities where they can collaborate and learn from each other. So we have engineer Ashraf, who is an accomplished senior executive and entrepreneur who specializes in organizational and human-centered design with over 30 years of experience in leadership, designing and managing and marketing digital products and services. He also is certified as a director, entrepreneurial leader, business and product innovator, architect, and storyteller. He is qualified with a Master of Arts of Islamic Arts and Architecture, coupled with a baccalaureate in architecture. He is also the co-founder and the CEO of Intersection.world. Engineer Ashraf is also a visiting assistant professor of practice at Nile University. Also, we have Miss Kariman Qadri, or Engineer Kariman Qadri, who is a professional architect, interior and product designer with over 16 years of experience in designing and implementing architectural and digital projects. She is also an entrepreneur, certified green business modeling designer and trainer, and co-founder, managing partner, and principal designer at Intersection.world. Ms. Kariman coaches and facilitates green business design, design thinking, and storytelling for young designers, handcrafters, and entrepreneurs. Thank you again and enjoy the sessions. And everyone, we will have an amazing 3 hours from now. You can have the mic, Engineer Ashraf. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much, Hussein. Thank you so much.
Welcome, everyone. Can you hear us now? Can you hear us now? Because yes, someone writes that he cannot hear us.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Okay. Can everybody hear me? Is the voice is okay? Everything is fine? And can everybody see my screen? Great. Okay. So let me, this is just one screen. Let me turn it off so that I don't get distracted. Okay, welcome everybody to this hopefully enjoyable boot camp. I don't know how much you know about entrepreneurship. How much do you know about entrepreneurship, Shabab?
So guys, these two sessions are an interaction session. So please feel free to open the mic and answer us anytime, or ask your questions.
And camera if you'd like. Mic and camera if you'd like.
Camera, okay.
So basically, entrepreneurship is a new project or a new idea. Like a person comes with a new idea to the market, like it's never been introduced to any market, and opposite to the business. So the business is basically could be, I think, maybe improved, but still the same thing as opposite to the entrepreneur, which is a new idea.
Well, that's okay to an extent, but as we will see, this is not entirely correct. Okay, so, but at least you are familiar with doing business, Shabab, right? Okay, so today we're going to discuss things from a different perspective, a little bit different perspective. In Intersection, we have been leading in the Middle East with this new perspective, which has been aggressively adopted in the US specifically and across all the booming ecosystems in the world, starting with, of course, the US, followed with Israel and other booming, and Berlin and London, all the booming ecosystems around the world. Usually we say entrepreneurship and innovation. Whenever you read about entrepreneurship, you will read about entrepreneurship and innovation. Maybe that is specifically why our friend talked about that normal business is not entrepreneurship. We like to call it entrepreneurship and value creation, because innovation is not really introducing something that was not introduced before. It's a bit different. Innovation is different than invention, and we will come to that in a second. As my colleague asked you in the following slides, we would like you to interact with us. Feel free to ask at any time.
Okay. So,
of course, I'm not going to talk about intersection more than our tagline. We have some more information here. You can read it while I talk, but we believe that success in entrepreneurship lies beyond the concept of the next big thing. Everybody rushes in the entrepreneurship ecosystem. Something like 90% of entrepreneurs worldwide, they chase the next big idea. They want to do what has not been done before. But actually, all the statistics that we have in business shows that the biggest companies, the most successful companies, have not been chasing the next big thing. So we're gonna come into that later. Hussein made amazing job. Thank you very much, Hussein, again introducing both me and my partner. And let's jump into the topic of today. What is a product? Does anybody know what is a product or a service for that matter? And to make it easier, how many products do we have in this picture?
try to think about every element in this picture before you answer.
4.
4. Okay, Mahara said 4. Do I hear 5?
5.
Who said 5?
I said 5. 4.
4,
It's
5.
5.
Okay, Mahat said 5. Do I hear 6? Do I hear 10? Let's count them. Somebody counts the products.
So there is the book. I think the book is made of 2 materials or maybe 3. No,
What are
actually
they?
3. The book cover is made of a special type of paper, and then there's also the paper and then the ink. The glass is made of a material, and the metal, it has maybe like what you call screws inside it. And there's also the carpet down, which is made of multiple materials. And I think that's a sofa behind it. So that's another thing.
So we're counting something like 15, 16 different products here. Right? That's not 4. And you missed one in the book.
I think
There is
it's
a part here.
also
Yeah.
the chandelier.
And the chandelier that is over the book, that is reflected on the glass. That's another one. And but what makes this thing a book, not a notepad? What makes the book?
The things written inside it, either it's a story or like
Exactly, the content. So the
Yes.
content as well as a product. So what does this mean? This means that there is nothing like a single product. A product or a service is the sum of all its parts. A product or a service is the sum of all its parts. You will never do a product with a completely new element that has not been discovered before. Khalas. That age is gone. So we add elements to each other so that we come up with somehow a different product. So any given product or even service, if anybody of you here is coding or is doing web development, you know that nowadays to make a website, you get WordPress, and then you maybe buy this plugin and go to Shopify, buy another plugin to make your own e-commerce store. So that e-commerce store or e-commerce website is the sum of all its parts. And we will understand that in in a jiffy.
Around,
Okay.
around your stuff in your room, every single detail around you is a product. Okay? So,
So we've talked
Then-
about what is a product. Who is a customer?
Someone that consumes that product.
Someone that consumes the product. The product itself. If
Maybe
it's
the service.
if the product is tomatoes, he will consume the tomatoes. If the product is a sandwich, which again is the sum of all its parts, he will eat the sandwich. But what if it's a book? How do he consume? How does he consume the content?
From the
By
acquiring
reading.
the knowledge. By the content.
Read it.
What? He reads
By
it,
the content inside.
Acquiring the knowledge.
acquiring the knowledge. And what is this considered? This is intangible,
this picture,
but it is what? Its value. So
yeah,
what is this young lady doing in this picture?
doing
Looking
now.
at the ingredients in a specific thingy.
Yes, we're looking at the ingredients, looking at the sum, at the parts of the product. Why?
Tell us why you are looking for the ingredients when you want some product, you want to buy some product.
To know what she is
To know what's
consuming,
included inside
To see
it.
if it fits me.
Yeah, to see
to
if
be
she-
aware of what she's consuming. Because some products are not good, like for our bodies and stuff. So that's why we have to check.
Okay. So the idea of the product is a sum, or the service is the sum of all its parts, means that some parts might be useful for somebody and some might not be. So a customer is looking for something. What is he looking for? He's looking for value.
So what does value mean?
So what is value?
Yeah, think about it. What do you know about value? What do you think?
The worth of something, worth of product.
Okay. That's
The
one
worth.
thing. The worth of the product. Okay. And how do you weigh that worth?
Purpose.
Something is
It's
valuable when
purpose.
it does something for us, or it offers something to us, or it has a benefit to us.
Or
Okay.
what the product is made of.
Okay, Hanadi, thank you. This is a very nice remark. So now we understand that a product is just an interface. A user or a customer does not buy your product. He buys the value in your product. And for him, as Mahra said, that this value is worth, value has four main components. Amen.
When we call it value, when we call the value, that it's a value.
So value is identified by four properties, if we can say. First property is what? Function.
Functional.
It has to give me the function. If I go and buy a book that is a fiction novel, and when I go back home, I discover that it's a series of political essays, it's not going to do the function, because I wrote a fiction story or a novel because I want to dream, I want to live in my imagination. It's for entertainment, it's entertaining. But political science might be for studying. So the first thing is functional. If I go and if I enter into a restaurant, okay, and it's a new cuisine I didn't hear about before that, and I order dessert, I don't know any of these desserts. Dessert in our culture, or maybe in your perspective, would be something sweet, something to give you some pleasure. And then the dessert comes and you find it very sour. You will call the waiter and tell him, no, I don't want this, I want something sweet. So every product bears a value. That value represents its function, and that function is identified by whom?
By the customer.
By the customer. Allah ينور عليك.
Great.
So value is value only if valued. Value.
معلش يا باشمهندس لحظة.
اتفضلي.
معلش حسين، الناس بره في الويتنج روم. There are waiting people in the waiting room. So Hussein, please let them go in, join. Hussein, can you hear me? Or see? بقاله كتير قوي عمال يكتب إن في ناس بره ومش عارفين يدخلوا.
Okay. A minute or so. If not, we'll send them on WhatsApp. Okay. So a value is value if valued. So the first time you introduce a new product, you have to focus on the function. And I don't remember who said the worth. I think it was Ma. But the worth is how we turn that function into a fair amount of money. And as we will see down this session today, that as well as relevant, is proportional and is a function of a lot of things. Okay? But there are other two parts of value: social and psychological. Anybody give me an example of social value of a product?
Come on, guys, think about it. It's in your hand every day. An example.
Can you repeat the question?
What is a social value? How does a product have or has social and psychological value?
The positive impact.
Yani that's a little bit, that's right, but it's a little bit far.
We
You
want
don't
you to give us an example.
buy it, not every day. You buy it because it has
Value that a product or service brings to like society.
No.
How much?
That's more on the social responsibility and now in what we call sustainable businesses. But even before that, there is these are the four properties of value. Any product that lives enough in the market and gains traction actually has four pieces. First, it's functional, then it's financial, and the more it can add social and psychological values to its target customers, the more they can raise the price.
And you have an example you use every day, the whole day.
Probably the phones.
Okay, what is the social value of the phone?
So it basically keeps us all connected together. So
no, that's the functional. That's the functions. The function of the phone is to keep us connected.
Its impact on society.
No.
Let me ask you, why
Do bags
have cultural values?
Do expensive bags have social value?
Yes, of course.
We buy expensive bags to represent wealth, and so
yes.
That's the social value.
Thank you, Hanadi. One of the main social values is status. We call it status. It's about differentiation. That's with human beings since Allah خلق الخلق. ما الحياة الدنيا إلا إيه؟ لعب وزينة وتفاخر بينكم في الأموال والأولاد.
The money.
Okay, so a big part of the social is your status or how it presents you. So sometimes it doesn't have to be a higher value status. No, people buy products red. If you all know product red, does anybody know product red? Product red is a category that has a non-profit organization behind it, that different companies and brands, when they introduce new products, they introduce a version called product red. The entire product is red. Why? Because half the profit of any product red goes to helping patients of AIDS in Africa. So the idea of making it red is to signify the social status that comes by supporting a social impact cause. Is this clear? Okay, but what about psychological?
I think it's how people think of the value.
Okay, but how do you make it a value?
We listen to music, and music has some sort of psychological value on us, and music is a product.
Yeah, but notice that the psychological value of the music might be its function.
How we connect it to our ego and our self-worth.
Okay.
How
Let
it
me.
makes us feel.
What is psychology? Let's make it open a little. What goes under psychological studies?
So it could be the feelings of, like, for example, when you use the phone, or you start connecting to other people that you love, or you always be connected with, the feeling you get, or the emotions, or the, let's say, the things you feel after being connected to these kind of people, and
Not
like
just in the connection. It's different parts. Let me give you an example. Expensive cars, and in UAE, you guys love cars, and I love cars. That's why I love UAE for different reasons, of course, because of the people as well. But I really like cars in UAE. Okay, so what is the difference between, why does somebody who can afford to buy a Mercedes buys a BMW? What is the
I
difference?
think it depends on how it makes them feel. Like you ride a Tesla and it makes you feel like really good. Is this like?
Yeah, but it feels exactly, and let's throw to it a Tesla. So here the function is the same. The social part, where it comes to status, these are expensive cars, so you are showing off. What really is making the differentiation here is the psychological value. So what is the difference psychologically between Tesla, BMW, and Mercedes?
Personal
makes you feel
preference.
better.
Okay, one by one, we listen to everybody.
It's how the product is marketed to give that feeling.
Yeah, what do they market about that? How do they market? How do they
They
market?
market wealth. They market that it gives wealth.
No, the wealth is social.
You can get like a car that's maybe cheaper than another, but it like
Cheaper,
it makes you
then we
feel
are
like you're
dealing.
worth it.
If we talk cheaper, then we are dealing with what? We are dealing
I
with.
think
No, but
I
it
think
makes you
it's
feel
status
like you're luxurious.
In the
the
marketing, they
luxurious is
convince
again
us that
social.
it's a better option.
I think it depends on personal preference and how
Yeah,
a
exactly.
specific person feels about a car.
Yes. What are the feelings they market about the car, ya Hanadi?
Different cars have different aesthetics, so not necessarily the same
Okay, so
marketing
the
strategy
aesthetic,
for.
exactly. Okay, the aesthetics is one of them. The other
So-
thing is, when we talk about emotions, now, does anybody know how Mercedes positions their car?
and maybe like a luxurious way. So if we talk about the person,
No,
like
no, that's not why. Have anybody been to Europe, of you guys?
Yes.
How did you notice that mainly most of the taxi companies bought
Mercedes, yeah.
Mercedes? Why?
It's like
More
maybe how
comfortable
they
chairs.
No, it's not about luxury. That's a taxi.
Maybe it's like more comfortable chairs. Like I don't know, like something like that.
No, That's because Mercedes for ages has been considered, and they market themselves like that, the car of the accidents. It's the safest car on earth. That's how they market it. It is the only car that the entire structure of the internal cabin is made of unbendable steel. So that's, they market it. You want a car for heavy accidents, buy a Mercedes. So if you buy a car for heavy accidents, then you're buying it because you're afraid of accidents. That's psychological.
What you feel.
Okay? While
Mercedes, what
while,
you feel.
yeah, while BMW is marketed as Das Auto. Well, Das Auto, the machine. It's all about power and sportive. So if you are, that's why most of young guys, they go and buy sporty cars because they are very masculine. They represent power. This is not social. This is psychological. Tesla, you're buying the most expensive car that is going to save the planet. It's about
feeling better about not polluting the planet.
Yeah, your conscience is more comfortable. You see? So the only trick here, you cannot start a company or a product and immediately jump with the product for 4 parts of value. You usually you have to start with function. And that function has to be properly priced to the customer segment that are going to value this function. Only when it's there and it starts getting accepted can you start positioning yourself and adding social and psychological. So that's one of the main reasons why great startups that you see now and we identify, oh, they made the next big thing, is a fallacy. Because he couldn't reach it day one. He can't. He has to build it. Innovation is incremental. That's why most of the entrepreneurs, most even of established companies who try to make the next big thing immediately, they usually fail. Because it's organic. How many times did you hear that a child 5 years old is a genius and he passed high school when he was 6 years old? That is rare. We do hear it. But have you ever heard that a mother gave birth to a child and decided to make him an adult in 12 months and started feeding him, and in a year he is 21 years old? Never.
No.
Third, creations need to go small step by another. So is entrepreneurship.
It will never come in 1 year.
So is innovation. Excuse me, Kariman?
I said it will never come in 1 year.
It will never come up in one shot. Unless you're an established company, and we will see an example towards the end about that. With deep pockets, you can afford to build it for 2 or 3 years and don't tell anybody. But even if you have deep pockets, it takes time.
So guys, when the value is a value, when it's
valued
by
the target customer.
Yeah.
Remember this, very important.
Yeah, keep it in your mind.
Now let's put innovation on a side because innovation must make us money to sustain it. So let's talk a little bit of economics. How many of you are familiar with demand and supply?
Me.
What does it mean?
Demand is when the customer is wanting something.
Okay. And
Supply
supply
is when the company provides something for the customers or the demanders.
So why do we talk about demand and supply all the time?
When a product is needed a lot and it's demanded much, the company has to supply more, and it also makes the product a higher value.
And sometimes
ده عنده تاني إضافة؟
supply all of
انتوا يا شباب ما شاء الله عليكم.
يعني خلونا يدخل شيء شوي على اساس انه يكون inclusive مثلا شيء
Okay. فاطمة الكعبي؟
فاطمة الكعبي.
فاطمة الكعبي. اوكي انت بتقربي لنورة؟
نورة لا
نورة الكعبي كانت وزيرة الشباب والثقافة عندكم شوية. And a good friend. طيب. Let's get back to demand and supply. Demand and supply is an effect. It's not the cause. أي حاجة في الدنيا is cause and effect. So we only see demand and supply, and we think that demand and supply happens when a product is demanded and the company cannot fill in that. So, but where does demand and supply comes from? This is the key to understanding the theory of capitalism, which is the economical theory or the economical approach and system that most of the free world is working with. Even Russia used to be using, and the Soviet Union, and after the Second World War, they used to be using communism or social. It was not communism, it was socialism. Both theories, socialism and capitalism, were developed in early 800s, early 1800s. The capitalism was developed by a guy called Adam Smith, and the socialism was conceived by Karl Marx. The similarities between both are a lot. It differs in how they wanted to express it on the community. So economics is how communities exchange and consume value. In capitalism, the basic theory of capitalism is based on two pillars. The first one is called scarcity. Scarcity is the origin of the idea of demand and supply. So scarcity means that something is scarce. So when you have a population like in Egypt, 100 million, and you only have 10 million houses, that means housing is scarce. Or better, Bedouins in the Arab Peninsula in the old days, we call them nomads. Why are they nomads? Does anybody know?
They knew how to live with little to no resources, so they survived in very harsh environments.
Yeah, but they always traveled because water in the desert is in scarcity. So they travel and settle down where there are wells or small ponds. If they dry up, they start moving again. That was one way of handling the scarcity of resources. They are always on the move, looking for resources. In modern ages now, the same thing is there, but scarcity is always Huh? Scarcity is
A lack of something.
relative. What is scarce with one country might not be scarcity with another. God subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us كعرب, specifically الجزيرة العربية, a wealth of oil. So we are rich. The rest of the world, oil for them is a scarcity.
That makes oil is
That makes supply and demand. So supply and demand is the effect. The cause is scarcity. But why is the world in equilibrium? Because we are wealthy in oil and maybe minerals, but the majority of the Arab world is deserts. We might have water, but we don't have the weather to raise coconuts, blueberries, oranges, apples. So for us, these are scarcity. Other countries are in wealth with that. So this is the part of the capitalism theory, that scarcity, because it's relative, it starts creating tension. It starts creating flow of value from and to. And that's one major part in the theory of capitalism, which is the basis of any business. Let's take a look at this picture.
This is an example.
As an example, this is a picture from a remote village in Cairo. In Egypt, not in Cairo, of course. In Egypt.
What do you think, guys? They're here.
Where is the entrepreneur here? That's what Kariman was asking. Can anybody identify who's the entrepreneur in this picture?
The provider of the resource.
Again, Ya'la.
The one providing them with the resources?
Where is he?
Perhaps in the car behind.
Afan?
In the car.
The guy in the car, exactly. This village doesn't have clean drinking water. They have water, but not for drinking. It's a remote village. That the infrastructure didn't reach it yet. So this guy lives something like 70 kilometers away. But the village he lives in has clean water for free. So this guy has a tank. He passes by a mosque, fills in the tank, and what is not scarcity at his village, so it's worth nothing, it's free. He travels with it 70 kilometers, and this is how the people greet him, running at him, holding tanks. And they pay 10 pounds by that time. This is something like 10 years ago. And they pay between 5 and 10 pounds.
For every tank.
For every tank.
Yeah. Same as in the market, the business.
Okay.
You as an entrepreneur,
that's the business.
Find the scarcity and try to make it from it. Business.
So that is the first pillar. Scarcity is the first pillar of capitalism theory. The second pillar is resources. There should be some sort of a scarcity, and there are 4 main resources that have to be there. You must have a piece of land.
Yeah,
even
you must.
plenty.
If you are working virtual from your home,
You are occupying a you are sitting on a piece of land. And usually entrepreneurs in the Middle East They neglect that part. It's very important. Now, the land, then you must have capital. Does anybody know what capital is?
Money.
No?
The source for the income?
Human capital, like laborers, workers.
No, that's people.
It's the financial assets or the resources that a person or like a company use to generate the income of.
Not used to generate the income. Capital is the tools / resources you will use to generate the product that will take advantage of the scarcity. So in the previous picture, the capital of this guy in the 1.8 at the background of the picture, his capital is the car and the tank that he fitted on the car. That is his capital. Without them, he won't be able to take advantage of the scarcity opportunity in that other village. If he has a tank and he doesn't have a car, he won't be able to transfer the water. If he has a car and doesn't have a tank, he won't be able to carry water. For him, this is called capital. Yes, sometimes, most of times, you need cash to buy the capital, but sometimes you can source capital with a different way. Microsoft, Google, what is their capital? Their brains. An intersection. Our capital is not the computers. Our capital is our education and expertise. That's why when we promote our company, we say we have a cumulative design and entrepreneurship experience that exceeds 50 years. That's our capital. So sometimes you can gain your capital incrementally. It doesn't need to be by cash. And maybe you take a loan from the bank. So we didn't put cash. Or that's why as startups, we raise investment from VC. They don't give you cash in your hands to spend it. They give you cash to buy capital. So,
Excuse me, sir.
Yes?
Can you please again explain what's a capital? Because I didn't get it exactly.
Okay. Capital is the resource that enables you to produce a product or a service to take advantage of a scarcity. Is that clearer?
Yes, it's clear, but can you explain more how do we use scarcity to get capital?
Yeah, let me give you an example. What do you think the capital of a retailer is? What does a retailer do? Fatima? Or Fatima, I don't know how you speak.
Someone who sells something in big quantities, I think.
No, that's a wholesale retailer. A retailer is a guy who has a shop close enough to some of his target customers to avail the products they want to buy. So in that sense, for him to do that, his capital is two things. The shop itself, because without the shop, he won't be able to sell. Nobody is going to know that he has that. And he must have an inventory. if he advertises that he has iPhone 15 Pro and he has a shop in Mall of the Emirates, and you go to the shop and you don't find the iPhone 15 Pro, you will say that the guy is a fraud.
I يعني simply tell you, Fatima, what is capital means. I'll give you an example. If you are a freelance working
صوتك
from
دي
home,
قطع يا كريمان، كريمان صوتك دي قطع.
okay.
This is better?
Much better, thank you.
Okay, Fatima, I will try to make it simple for you. For example, if you are a freelancer working from home, what is your capital in this case? Your laptop and your mind. If you are talented in something like making 3D models, making graphic designs,
writing stories,
whatever your field, but you have here your capital will be your laptop, your laptop and your mind and your talent as well as.
If you don't have a laptop, you can't afford to have a laptop, you will have to have a notebook and a pen. Otherwise, you won't be able to produce the story from your head into something that you can sell.
Is it clear now, Fatima?
Yes, thank you so much.
Is it Fatima or Fatima?
It's Fatma.
فاطمة اوكي.
Thank
احنا
you
عندنا
so
في
much.
مصر دلوقتي في فاطمة وفاطمة وفاطمة. ما تسألينيش.
اي عشان انت كاتبه اي فانا قريتها فاطمه. I'm so sorry. Is it
No, it's fine, don't worry.
Anyhow.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Okay,
so rather than the capital, you must have people to buy from you and people that can work for you so that you can grow.
Yeah,
can make more products. Simply. احنا عندنا في مصر ومتهيألي في الامارات الجنة من غير ناس ما تنداس. لازم يبقى في ناس.
Same example, Fatima. If you are a freelancer working too much and you have a lot of projects at the same time, then you will try to hire someone to help you in the projects, maybe for a while, not forever. So this is a resource you use, okay? And then you have the clients, you are selling your products or your service for them. This is another kind of people.
So why is this economical? Because as I told you, economy is about the community. So we're interested in having people in this equation so that people can find jobs, so they can make a living and buy other products that are in scarcity and so on. The most important resource of the four is the entrepreneur.
Excuse me, Bishwans. There is some people here are confused about the session. They are still asking on the chat, what is this session for? Someone asking, is it for coding? Others are don't understand what are we talking about. So can we briefly tell them what is this session for, because they still are.
أنا شايف شفت دلوقتي أنت لقيتيني فأنا لقيت حد كاتب مش دخل ال AI في.
A lot of asking about this session. What is
with you?
Yes.
With you.
Yes. Let me brief this again. I think. Let me put this. So again, يا شباب, I think we had like an orientation session on last Sunday, and we have in the orientation session told you that we will have like a camp. We will have like a 2 days for a business training with the engineer Ashraf and engineer Kariman. And we will have like 2 days with trainings on Internet of Things and artificial intelligence. So again, you can go back after the session for the orientation session. We sent you with the YouTube recorded video and we answered all your questions. So for now, we will complete the business training. Today, try to focus. It's very important for you to know how to show your idea, how to work on it, and how to make it like on ground from the business side. And we will have the other trainings and other questions and other topics on Internet of Things and artificial intelligence starting from after tomorrow. If anyone have any question, just you can send us on email, and or at the end of the session today, we will answer all your questions if you have. But now we will complete the session, please.
And I think Maha has a question, but before Maha, I will answer Raghid again, because he again had it ايش دخل ال AI في البزنس. So the problem is لا خلاص.
رغد.
If
ده
you can
رغد
do
تقريبا.
AI
Yes.
and there is no business for AI, something of two will happen. Either you will starve to death or you will quit doing AI.
هي فهمت خلاص عامة، هي قالت هو بيبعت متأخر، هي شكلها فهمت.
رغد ده رغد مش راغد. اوكي ماشي.
So Maha, you have a question, Maha, please?
Yes, sorry to interrupt you, but I wanted to ask, when will the presentation video, like the submission, I heard it's on the 9th of October, but on what date should it be submitted already?
Okay, Maha. Yeah, please, because if I open all the questions now, it will be like a mess. So I will answer this at the end of the session, inshallah. Tamam?
Okay.
Okay, Maha, thank you.
Our role, me and Kariman, is to prepare you to put your technical idea, to guide you to have a better technical idea that can make a business. That's the session of today. And tomorrow we will talk with you how to present that idea in a selling way, in a way that people will be interested in listening to you. Okay? Right.
So?
Entrepreneurs like yourself are very important for any capital industry, because the entrepreneur is the leader. He or she is the person who noticed the opportunity and decided to take advantage of it. It doesn't need, she doesn't, or he doesn't need to be technical. The better is that he can lead people, that he has a vision. If he's command technical, that's fine, that's great. But if he's not technical, he will be leading. And sometimes that's just what we want. I'll give you an example. One of the biggest investment firms in UAE that is investing in Egypt in healthcare, 8 years ago acquired a small, private, but very successful hospital in Egypt called Mustashfa Kilopatra. It's very successful, but just one hospital. And they acquired it and replicated the system it had and started with that replication acquiring other private hospitals until now. So this Kilopatra group now is one of the biggest private healthcare entities in the region. So Kilopatra was a startup founded by 3 entrepreneurs, which are actually brothers. What do you think? Can anybody guess what their education was?
صنايعة.
When they founded El Mustashfa,
The hospital, yeah.
the hospital,
Yeah, they are not doctors, by the way.
they were not doctors. They were people, accountants. One was an accountant, the other was a lawyer. But they had this vision. They've seen the scarcity in quality healthcare. But they're not doctors, so they want to take advantage of this. So they invented the idea of something called chief medical officer, chief pharmaceutical officer. And then they started hiring people that can help them build this system. And in something like 3-4 years, it became one of the most famous hospitals in Egypt, and it stayed like that for something like 10 years until it got acquired. You don't need to be technical to know
in the business you want to raise up.
Exactly, you don't have to.
It's not necessary that you must be technical in it.
It is a plus, but most important is the vision you have.
الانترنت قطع ولا ايه؟
لا انا بقرا الشات. Guys, this 3 hours is about business today. Tomorrow, the 3 hours of tomorrow is about presentations.
Pitching, yeah.
Okay? And it's not a presentation, it's called a pitch. We will explain that tomorrow.
To be clear, if you have a question in the session, in what we are trying to telling you now, ask anytime. But any questions about the competition or whatever, Hussein will answer after the session will finished. Okay? يلا يا باشمهندس.
So again, we are talking here that entrepreneurs are very important to any economy because they spot the opportunity. It's not about the big idea, it's about the opportunity. It's about serving the customer. So an entrepreneur is an individual who creates a new business. That business, I don't remember the name of the guy we started with, that business could be any business. It could be a new idea, a new innovative product or service. And it can be something that is in short of supply. Both of them are entrepreneurs. Why? He starts a new venture and takes some risk towards starting it up, hoping to take or to have or achieve some profit. Okay, this is an entrepreneur. So the entrepreneur can launch a business with no innovation at all, just to fill in supply and demand. That's an entrepreneur. And he can start a business that is depending on innovation. Now I want to ask you a question. What is the difference between an innovation-based business and a supply and demand-based business?
Okay, guys. Anyone want to ask or want to answer? Please open the mic and just talk.
I think demand and supply, like business or whatever, is like they ask and you give. But like innovation is something that's like giving out something new, like it's not available.
Yeah, what does this something new do?
It sells a feeling.
No, before it can sell, it changes behavior. We introduce something new because we see something unsolved. For instance, even in Emirates, before Uber, but in Emirates, RTA had something better. We had phones for the taxis, but even before RTA introduced, I know Dubai and Emirates quite well. I've been coming to Emirates since 1994. In 1994, 95, 96, until early 2000s, there was still not the idea of phoning the taxi company to send me a taxi. So the behavior was, I get out of my apartment, stand in the street, hoping that a taxi passes by, and I wait for him, the taxi stops. And the taxi, on the other hand, doesn't know where to find his customers. So he wakes up in the morning, yes, على رزقه. He gets into his car and starts driving, hoping that somebody's gonna wait for him. Then we had this idea of taxi companies that you book the taxi. But that was not very convenient, because when they did this, the taxi drivers stopped roaming around. The cars are stationed in some place. So what if I am in Deira and the taxi company I am calling is in GLT? It's going to take at least half an hour until it reaches me. So Uber came up with the idea of using technology to solve this problem. Just didn't come to them like that. They spotted an opportunity that there is a certain behavior that has been a problem for so long that they can now change with the use of technology. So they innovated the idea of Uber. An app that is with the driver and with the customer. None of them is going to change his habit. I decide to finish the meeting. I go out to the street to wait for a taxi. Before I get out with 5 minutes, I open the app and say, I want a taxi. That gets broadcasted to only the taxis nearby me. One of them accepts, and by the time I go down, he comes. So the taxi driver is still in the street and you are normal, but we change the behavior of having to wait, having to worry. Okay, so innovation is all about changing a pain, changing a problem.
We'll come to this.
Entrepreneurship for demand and supply is for satisfying the supply. تجارة طبيعية جدا. So let us sum up here. What is a business? Simply, can anybody tell me what is a business? What does an entrepreneur does?
What is business mean? Depend on what we just discussed.
Identifies a problem or an aspect that could be improved and provides according to that.
Okay. What makes it a problem?
The society.
The customer.
Customer, yeah.
Okay. So a business in reality, ya shabab,
is all about the customer. Okay. Business is all about customer. The only purpose of the business is to create a customer and keep him. How to create a customer? How do you know your customer? How do you determine your customer? How do you determine his problem, his pain, and try to solve it with a proof, with a product, with a service? And after you solve his problem and relieve his pain, how do you keep him? And guess what? To keep him is most important. Then you find a new customer. And this is, we will come to this later, but just keep it in your mind also.
The guy who said this, his name is Peter Drucker. This is the picture in front of you. This is, we call him, he passed away in 2005, but he's a prominent figure in the education and the science and art of management and business. And he is called the father of modern management. He simply identifies business as to create a customer and keep him. How many of you guys are on Do and how many are on Itisalat?
I'm on Do.
I'm on Do.
Okay, so people on Do, they stay on. Why are you staying on Do?
I honestly have no idea, but my brother thinks it's better, so I trust him.
Okay, you trust your father. Very good for you. Well for you. But The mobile operators actually have this loyalty programs to keep you in. They give you these gifts, they give you this discount. When there is a concert, they tell you, come and buy tickets from me. They are in competition now of keeping their customers with them. Because it's very, if Do loses a customer to Etisalat or vice versa, it is very expensive to gain him back. So that's the meaning of keep the customer. Okay? We had a plan for a break right now before we delve into the. So entrepreneurship is all about what? Create, grow, and
keep your customer. And
entrepreneur's
your customer.
main focus his entire life is to create new customers, to grow his customer base, and keep these customers. How? By solving their problems.
I have a question.
Please.
So there are certain services or businesses that have like products to sell once. Like a home retailer, his only goal is to sell their house, to sell the house that they have available. But the target customer is to only sell it once to them, you know? Their target goal.
The target customer ماله معلش تاني يا مريم.
أنا فهمتها.
Okay. So there are certain businesses that have one thing, like one item to sell, like one time. A home retailer, when they find their customer, their only target is to sell a home once. They're not going to sell a house many times to the same customer.
Yes.
Yeah, but this customer have a mouth.
We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about your product to his family, to his friends, and this called the word of mouth from him, and this will make like a cycle or a chain.
We will come to that, but I will show it to you now, Tanya Maryam, in relevance with the value. The products that sell once only survives if the customer accepts to buy it way above its real value. So let me give you an example. إعمار. Isn't that what you're talking about?
Yes.
إعمار in Cairo has a huge compound called Mevida. Huge. And they didn't do in Cairo anything else. They went and did something else in Sahel. Now, they got the land almost for free. So, for instance, a 4-story building that has 8 apartments, and it is built on a total area of 1,000 meters, which means that 4 by 8 is 32 apartments, which means that every apartment from land costed 1/32. That piece of land, he didn't pay more than 25 pounds per meter. So that 1,000 meter is for 25,000 pounds. If I say that we have 25 apartments, not 32, this means that the apartment cost for land is 1,000 pounds. Okay? And the construction and material and everything is going to cost another 5,000 pounds, 10,000 pounds, 100,000 pounds per apartment. He's selling the apartment for 12 million. And the customer is buying. So apparently here, Mevida is not selling because the functionality of housing. The value they are selling for 12 million here is what? Status?
The
and
quantity?
status and psychology. And the target customer decided that 12 million Egyptian pounds is worth the status that he lives in the only Mivida compound.
فهي قصدها ازاي تحافظ على الكاستمر بقى، يعني
ما هو
ازاي
انت خلاص he is your customer خلاص.
مثلا مرة في حياته.
He is your customer. خلاص. If you keep the level up to what you sold him in the value, so you didn't rush and sell to a rubbish community, he believes you. So when I'mar went and started making marasi in الساحل الشمالي in Egypt, they are selling the apartment there, which you are going to only occupy for less than 2 months, to their same customer that bought from them in Cairo, but they are selling it for 22 million. Because what is he selling? He's selling you the community. He's not selling you. That's the value he's trying to keep up. Another example is Boeing and Airbus. These are the only two commercial passenger manufacturers of airplanes or aircrafts in the world. Their sales cycle is one plane every 5 years. But although the one plane costs them less than $1 million, the average sale price of the craft is 40 million. And customers are buying. Their customers here are the flight companies. Why are they buying it with this price? Because they want safety and they want maintenance and they want Boeing to stay in business. So again, value is only value if valued. You will keep your, who buys Boeing, the air flight, if Etihad or Emirates or Egypt Air buys Boeing, they will buy very, very few Airbuses as part of a strategy. But that's the type of the cycle. In real estate, the sales cycle is something like once every 25 years. So if your cycle is so big, you have to really have value to make a very big price that keeps you in business for another 25 years. Is it clear كده ولا?
Yes, it's clear.
Now you understand it, ya Maryam, huh? If you don't, tell me.
I understand.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's a good question, by the way, Mari.
So I think we will delay the break for 10 minutes, take the couple of slides. So your solution or the value you think your customers want is called value proposition. And why we call it proposition? Because you are still starting the company. You don't know whether this value will be valued by your target customer or not. So your value proposition is the most important part of your startup, which is actually what you're doing. What are you providing? And the value proposition, as we said, value is value if valued. Let me give you another example. If you are in UAE in December and the weather in the morning is not that hot, but it's warm, and you are thirsty, you might pay, I don't know, 5 dirhams, 10 dirhams if it's scarce, for a nice cold Coke. But if it happens that on that same night, you travel to Paris, And in the morning, it's freezing. And you pass by a grocery, you won't even think of buying a Coke, a cold Coke. All you will be thinking of is a nice hot chocolate. So what you valued in one situation, you will not value as a customer in another one. So
in short,
yes,
so in short, it's demand.
Exactly. So the valuation of the customer to your product or to the value of your product ensures demand on your product. Some products are in demand all the year. It depends what is the problem of your target customer and how are you solving it. And some products, no matter what, are seasonal. Let's take another thing. Any Muslim going to Hajj or Umrah has to buy certain things. Those certain things get in high demand prior to Ramadan, in Ramadan, after Ramadan, and during Hajj. If you happen to make a Umrah and you need a new ihram or for a lady or for a man, which is not in the season of Umrah, most probably you will not find, or if you find, you will find it very cheap. So sometimes value solves a problem that is seasonal. It is timed. And some problems are not. That brings me to the Internet of Things, to try to put it a little bit in your perspective. Internet is there all the time. So some Internet of Things could be seasonal, and some of them could be useful all day long. So a motion sensor, surveillance camera around your villa that is connected to your phone 24/7 is going to be most probably valuable for you the entire time, whether you're in home or out of home. But if you're out of home for some time and nobody is at home, it will be more valuable. Is this example clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
No, actually, I
A
didn't get
sensor,
it.
an Internet of Things that monitors conditions for rain in countries like the Middle East, where if we have rain, we usually have it in certain times. That system will only be on demand prior to the rain and immediately after the rain, only in the season of the rain. We've never had rain in August. Nobody's going to pay anything to know that it's going to be raining in August. He's not going to value it. Whether he wants to know about the rain because he's irrigating, because he's planting some rare plants, because he doesn't have water, whatever it is. So sometimes your innovations are seasonal. And sometimes they're all the year long. It depends on which problem you're solving for your target customer.
Like stationery in the season of school, back to school.
Yes.
We are in
Backpacks. Backpacks are in extremely high demand during September.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Because back to school. Is that clear, يا ولاد?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Questions here in this part, in the value proposition?
No.
It's clear.
Okay. So the value proposition is the actual value your target customer will gain, which will solve him his problem when he purchases it from you. So whenever we say value proposition, it has to be accompanied with what? With a target customer.
It's like a balance.
You cannot say value proposition without a customer, and you cannot say a customer without having a value proposition. And this is a core of what we call a business model, which we will talk about after the break with some time. We now want to focus, we're going to focus after the break on how to understand what is the value that my customer wants, how to find out that value. It's not about me, it's about the customer. Okay? Right. To explain value proposition graphically, first you must have something we call a customer
map
or a customer profile. The customer profile is divided into 3 parts.
So customer have first thing, he have a job he want to do. Maybe a service, maybe a product he want to buy. And
let me take that from you. Give them an example. What do you buy when you buy a pen?
Yeah, what do you buy?
Huh?
A corrector with the pen.
No.
Eraser.
What do you buy when you buy a pen?
A book. The ink.
What is the value you buy when you buy a pen? Why do you buy a pen?
For writing, for like noting.
Exactly, Renad. Exactly. That's the job you do with a pen. So your customer buys your product to make a job.
To make a job with it.
So, does everybody know the drills?
Yes.
Okay. What do you buy when you buy a drill?
You put things together? You drill things together?
No.
Holes.
Holes. Thank you. You're buying a hole.
Oh, great.
Okay. That is the job. Now, Kariman, you can continue. For every job,
every time you buy a product, you have a gain from this product and a pain from this product.
So let me give an example again. When you buy a cheap rolling ball pen, you have a gain of immediately filling in whatever you were filling in or writing what you wrote. But you have the pain of it starts spilling ink all over your fingers.
Exactly.
Did you get that? And when you buy a drill, you gain a hole, which will help you hang something. But the pain is, it is noisy, shaking, and it leaves dust.
It's also dangerous sometimes.
And it's dangerous. It can hurt you. Okay? So one of the pains is it can hurt your hand. Can injure you. So for every job, for every product a customer buys from you, he's buying it to have a job done. Doing that job comes with 2 phases. It comes with a positive thing, which is a gain.
And which makes you buy this product.
That's why you buy it. But it most probably as well leaves you with some pain.
So as an entrepreneur here in this situation, for this customer, your mission is first to relieve the pain.
So now we want to make a new product because of the drill. So we look at the value map again.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to put psychological and social value. No, I have to maintain that it is making a whole, but add to the functionality, maybe safety. I am solving the problem or the pain of getting injured. Or maybe I add an extra functionality that eliminates the dust. So I'm solving the problem of having to clean after I do the hole. Okay, that's how we innovate products. So for that customer that had jobs with gains, but it had pains, if I want to innovate a new product for this customer, I have to follow the value map and create a product or service that first relieves the pain. Otherwise, he's not going to buy from. If it does more gain, هيقول ايه؟ اللي اعرفه احسن من اللي ما اعرفوش. ما انا عندي شنيور كده كده. ابقى اشتري له الاسبوع الجاي. بقى nice to have because it's adding extra gain. طب ما انا اللي عندي شغال. But if I see that there is a majority getting hurt, or a majority are complaining about the noise a drill makes, so I innovate a new drill that gives him the same gain which is doing the hole, but with no noise. I might buy myself one of them so my neighbor doesn't shout at me at 10 o'clock in the evening and tell me, what the hell? We only drill until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And that's very famous in Dubai, by the way.
And call the police for me.
And actually in Dubai, I personally called the police for one of my neighbors in JLT. I had an office in JLT, and the neighbor was so anxious to finish it quickly, so he was working almost 24/7. So I can't bear it. He's drilling all until 5 o'clock, and I stay in the office a couple of hours to concentrate, and he's drilling until 10 o'clock. I talked to him once, twice, the third time I phoned the police.
And this is a nice example to relieve the pain for a product.
This guy, if you tell him there is a drill that with the same effectiveness, but with no sound, he will rush to buy it.
He will buy it differently.
Definitely. Well, after he buys it, you start giving him more gains. Maybe you talk with AI and tell it, drill, so it drills. Maybe that's an extra gain. But you need to start with the pain. Innovation starts with the relieving pains and then creating new gains. If you do that, you have what we call in business product market fit. Product market. Now, should we start with the customer to find his pain, or should I start with my big idea?
Start with the customer.
That's a dilemma. البيضة ولا الكتكوت? The hen or the egg? Whom should we start with? Think of it, and we will discuss it after the break, inshallah. Take a break for 15 minutes to pray Maghrib and be back with you, inshallah. دلوقتي 35 و15, we'll come back 50.
And prepare your questions if you had. Okay? See you guys.
15 minutes.
Clear, يا شباب. If anybody has problems or questions, please prepare them and we can discuss them in the beginning. This was like the foundation for every single piece of business that is coming after that. So if you have any questions about what we talked about in the last hour and a half, please bring it up when we come back. Thank you.
انت كنت بتقول حاجة؟
Yeah, no. I was saying that we will have like a break for 15 minutes and we will be back.
Okay.
Okay.
السلام عليكم، انا جاهز وقت ما تبقوا جاهزين.
جاهزين.
كله جاهز؟
جاهزين.
ما شاء الله عليكم. طيب البيضة الأول ولا الكتكوت؟
البيضة.
البيضة. مهر قالت البيضة. مين قال الكتكوت؟ شوف الكتكوت جميل ازاي؟ طعم خالص اهو. هو ولا البيضة؟
البيضة.
البيضة.
الكتكوت.
البيضة.
هذا الكتكوت.
كتكوت.
الكتكوت.
كتكوت. طيب احنا نقصد ايه بالبيضة ولا الكتكوت؟ يعني نبدأ بالبيج ايديا زي ما كل انتربرينور بيعمل، شاف حاجة كده وقرر ان هو يقتنصها، ولا نبدأ بالكاستمر وبعدين نشوف الكاستمر عايز ايه؟ ايه رأيكم يا اولاد؟ مين؟
البيج ايديا عشان من غير بيج ايديا مش هيكون في كاستمرز.
من غير بيج ايديا مش هيكون في كاستمرز. طب حد تاني عنده رأي غير كده؟
أنا أشوف الكاستمرز أهم. أشوف الكاستمرز شيبون.
لأنه من غير
البيج ايديا أهم.
من غير كاستمرز مش هيجي لي بيج ايديا. وفي حد هيقول من غير البيج ايديا مش هيبقى في كاستمرز.
هو في الحالتين
انتوا عارفين الفيلم بتاع طيور الظلام؟ حد يعرف الفيلم بتاع طيور الظلام؟
صعب قوي يا
عادل
شباب،
إمام.
صعب قوي يكونوا عارفين.
لا ما نشوف بقى، نشوف اهو الافلام المصري لسه ليها. عارفينه؟ شكلكم مش عارفين.
لا.
هي
لا.
يسرى هو الراجل بيقول لها ابدا بقياس بدله، بيقول لها ابدا باللون الاول ولا الجاكيته الاول؟ فيسرى بتقول له يا اختي كده ينفع وكده ينفع. انت ممكن تبدا بالكاستمر الاول وممكن تبدا بالبيج ايديا الاول، لانه الاثنين هيودوا لبعض. اهم حاجه لو هتبدا بالايديا الاول او حتى هتبدا بالكاستمر الاول، تفتكر حاجه مهمه جدا. حاجه قالها لنا something that was said by Pablo Picasso. Does everybody knows Pablo Picasso?
Yes.
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 Pablo Picasso عنده شوية quotes جميلة. One of the most important quotes is an idea is a point of departure and no more. ليه؟ هي نقطة انطلاق. Just a point of departure. Because as soon as you elaborate it، في elaborate ناقصة هنا، ما اعرفش اتمسحت النهارده ولا ايه. As soon as you elaborate it, it becomes transformed by thought. It's an idea. An idea is only an idea if you are willing to let it go and adapt a better idea. It's only as good as you can add to it and take from it and give it and accept other ideas. That's the beauty of the idea. المشكلة is that most entrepreneurs who start with the idea, and designers as well, they like to think of themselves that they are better than everybody حواليهم. And the idea has to be كده. It's not about you. You shouldn't be imposing an idea on a customer. So, in both cases, if you are not going to fall in love with the idea and try to enforce the idea no matter what, you can start with an idea زي ما هنشوف, and you will find that this idea will get you out to the customer. And you start a pendulum effect. The pendulum keeps going from left to right, from right to left, from left to right, from right to left, from left to right, tick, 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 tick. It doesn't matter where did it start from, as far as it's going back and forth. So if you start with the big idea, you have to get out to the customer and know what the customer wants and accept what he says and change in your idea and go back to the customer and see what he wants and change the idea. Or you can go out to the customer, see what he wants and go make an idea and come back and show it to the customer. You can start with both. The key is to understand إنه ربنا سبحانه وتعالى خلق الأيديا part من process اسمها فكرة. العربي عندنا it's better يعني this is one of the best things expressed in Arabic. In English it's a bit vague. إنما in Arabic it's very clear. فكرة وفكر وتفكير جايين كلهم بعض. It's a process. If you maintain that the idea is meant to evolve, and when it evolves, it might change, you are safe to start with either. The main problem that some people, حفظنا الله وإياكم, they fall in the love of the idea. And that's dangerous. So, if you do that, زي ما قلنا, we can start. There are two known methods in entrepreneurship for innovation. ملهمش تالت. The early one starts with the idea, and its name is customer development process. And the other one starts with the customer and is called design thinking, also known as human-centered design. But you will keep on it coming in both of them. The customer development is the earliest. It was developed in early 2000 by this cute guy. His name is Steve Blank. Steve Blank is a celebrity serial entrepreneur and Stanford University professor in the Valley. He has 3 PhDs. And he is like the modern prominent figure when it comes to the science and art of entrepreneurship and innovation from a business point of view. He initiated in 2000, 1999, 2000, the concept of customer development. And although its name is customer development, this starts with the big idea. Okay? And his theory is very simple. في حد فيكم سمع عن حاجة اسمها lean startup؟
ممكن تعيد؟
Can you repeat?
Lean startup. L-E-A-N. Lean.
No, I haven't heard about it.
اسمه إيريك إيه؟ نسيت اسمه حالا كده. إيريك ريس. Eric Ries is a student of Steve Blank, and the lean startup is just a nice way, a nice representation of customer development. So the customer development, without any further ado, is 4 steps. You have a big idea. You have to put it on some sort of a paper. Don't produce anything. You have to put it in a way that you can communicate it. And you think this big idea will help students in universities. So you have to get out of the office, take this representation, and get out to the customer. This is called customer discovery. To see what the customers will tell you about your big idea. You take the feedback, it's a loop you can. You take the feedback and go back. Work on it sometime, get out and show it to them again. You keep doing this until everybody tells you this idea is great. So you stop
and start validate.
You stop here.
And start to validate your idea. It's
Stop
called
here.
validation.
And you go to validate. Validate means in this context, validate means now you've been asking people, they told it it's nice. You kept going and coming until they accepted it. So validation is you need to make sure that there are enough customers to build the market. وبهذه المناسبة السعيدة, I would like to pause and ask you, does anybody know what market means? ايش هو السوق؟
أسهم
لا
A place where you sell your products.
الأسهم في السوق المالية in the financial market. لا, what is a market in general بغض النظر بقى.
It's a place where you sell your products.
Exactly, it's a place where the demand and supply takes place, where the exchange takes place. So if we have a fish market and no customers are going there, then there is no market. Even if the place exists, if people are not buying fish, there is no market. Or 3 persons only in Dubai are buying fish, that market will close. So this is the idea of validation. You need to make sure that the value, the idea you started with and kept going back and forth and with the target customers until it is well defined. Now you have to try to sell it to people as an idea. We call this validation. And be sure that there are enough people in the market for you to buy it.
Because a lot of fake customers, let us call them fake, because they say, oh, this is a nice idea, this is a very beautiful idea, and then when it comes to money,
he doesn't pay.
They go away. Yeah, they don't pay. They don't pay.
برضو بهذه المناسبة السعيدة, can anybody tell me why a customer would tell you he likes this product, but when you have it and you go to sell it to him, doesn't buy? And we answered that before the break.
Can I answer?
Yes, please go ahead.
So I'm not sure of my answer, but I think it depends on the psychology of this person. If he has the will to buy this specific thing and if he actually needs it or not. And exactly. I think he, yeah.
One moment, Fatma, because you're going fine. I want you to slow down and think more. You stated the generic part. What does what you said mean?
Again, please.
What is the meaning of what you said? What you said is right, but it has a different expression. What does that mean? Forget about the psychological part. Maybe it doesn't fill a need. You said that. Why?
Maybe he doesn't have enough money.
Maybe he doesn't have enough money, or
not suitable for his status.
Exactly. So the value, although he told you it's nice,
yeah,
but
so
the value
not must.
The value you are presenting is not relieving an immediate pain.
Yeah. This is the main core of value.
It's the main core of the value. So, because if it's relieving a pain and it's a bit expensive, he will do anything to buy it. He will borrow money, he will find a way. But if it's not solving a pain and it's a bit expensive, it will be, oh, I cannot afford it. Why? It's a nice to have. That's why when you showed it to me, it's like the example we talked about the drill. Drills make a lot of noise, and I come and I innovate a new drill that hangs on the wall by itself. Don't need to handle it like that. That's not a big pain. If you ask everybody using a drill, he will tell you, yeah, that's great, that's nice. So you go and you produce it. When you come to buy it, less than 2% are going to buy, which we call them the innovators and the early adopters. Majority are not going to buy. Why? For them, it's a nice thing to have. But he has a shenur. He has a drill that does the exact same thing. The value of him not handling it is not really. You didn't solve a core problem. So it always starts with
the problem,
the pain. So you have validated that people are wanting this. That's the customer discovery. Now you want to make sure that what you are solving is a real pain. How? That there are enough people to buy it.
Sometimes in customer validation phase, you have to pivot because you didn't find much customers will buy your product. In this case, you will go back to customer discovery and make some development in your idea or your service to fit the target needs, the target customer's needs.
So let me go back. Let me go back to the drill example. So if I do the drill, and I do it with a value proposition that I don't want it to injure anybody. So I make it that it stands with a way or another, you just stick it to the wall and it does the drill, but it still does the noise and it still leaves dust. People at the beginning will tell you, it's fine, we gained a lot of traction. So before we manufacture, we make a mock-up to the drill and we try to go out and make sales, pre-order sales with a discount. Now, we start finding people, a lot of people not buying. So we should ask them why. So this means that we are in the validation, but we are again doing what? Discovery. So maybe we find that the dust is a bigger problem. So we have to go and change our offer, because if we add the dust, price is going to go up. So maybe we have to add clearing dust, but take away the hanging on the wall, or maybe adjust something in that and that to keep it in the same range. This is called the pivot. So you keep going between these two steps that we call it a search phase until finally people are willing to buy. They say yes, and they are buying it, and they are putting pre-orders. Now you stop and you start building your company. You go up and you start making sales, proper sales, hire salespeople, maybe look for partners, distribution channels. You start creating those customers and building the product, and hence you are building a company. This 4-step iterative process is called customer development. Any questions?
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Does the time play a big factor in switching between customer validation and customer discovery, or what?
لا تاني يا فاطمة, your voice can be قطع, معلش.
Sorry. Does time play a big role, or does it is it considered a factor in customer in switching between customer discovery and customer validation?
Trying by the customer?
You mean it's timed?
Yes, I mean if we, for example, take long time staying in the customer discovery phase, will it affect the customer validation or not?
No.
It's okay.
There are two things. You are always in tension in business. Last week, I was asked a question. Is timing important? And I told them what my I had an American mentor when I started my business back in the 90s. And I remember asking him this. And he told me, Ash, timing is 80% and 20% is how good you are at business. Because no matter what, if you introduce the right solution in the wrong time, people are not going to buy it. This introduces something that we call time to market. It depends on the market and the demand and supply. Let me give you an example from what you are doing. How many people of you here, you are all doing IoT and AI, right?
Yes.
Okay. So Mahra and Fatma, can you tell me, do you know when AI was actually invented, finished, and in access for use?
Maybe in like recent years.
No. No. AI was initially invented by IBM. Most of the algorithms that are in main use now, like deep learning and machine learning and blah, 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 they were done, finished, tested, and patented in 1982. But timing was wrong. Why timing was wrong? Internet was just in the start. So connectivity was not that good. And because connectivity was not good, AI as a science and algorithm was cheap. But what was expensive? Data gathering. Because AI depends on data. So it stayed on the shelf. People doing research and trying to advance other markets and all the way from 1983 till 2013. That's almost 30 years. In the past 10 years, data started to be promising. So AI started coming up on the surface again. AI only became very relevant a year ago. All what you are seeing, all this plethora of services and people making money and new businesses popping up, specifically not in all AI. The main thing that is booming now is generative AI, which is depending on huge reservoirs of data. Generative for text, generative for images, generative for video, generative for music. Only 1 year. That's the right timing, but the technology was there.
انا معلش انا عايزه اسال بس فاطمه، هو انت كنتي تقصدي ان الكاستمر ديسكفري محتاجه انك تاخدي وقت معين محدده بوقت يعني؟ عشان افهم بس احنا فهمنا سؤالك صح ولا لا؟
هو أنا ما كان عندي قصد معين، بس أنا كنت يعني أسأل عن موقف التايم يعني البروسيس كله، يعني كيف التايم يكون موقفه بشكل عام.
بصي التايم مهم if you have competition in the market or if you have to spend money. يعني some startups, they get foolish and they spend the small cash they have on an idea that turns wrong, but they already have a company and they are low on cash. So these people have to introduce something quickly in the market, otherwise they will close doors. So that's why one of the main things we always say, you have to burn cash very, very, very slowly. Take your time. Nobody's rushing you. It's better getting it right in a long time than getting it wrong in a short time. But again, that said, it is not على الإطلاق the sooner you can do it is the better. فيبقى المعنى ايه؟ take your time,
take your time
don't rush. بس مش هينفع ان احنا نقعد نديفلوب بقيه العمر. فاهم قصدي؟
By the way, pivoting doesn't mean failure. يعني من كونك عملت pivot رجعت الكاستمر ديسكفري it doesn't mean ان انت فشلت، بالعكس. يعني take your time in customer discovery and take your time in customer validation, and if it's necessary to pivot and take your time in it and be patient, don't be hurry.
Don't rush it out. جاوبنا كده على سؤالك يا فاطمة ولا we still didn't get it?
Yes, exactly. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're more than welcome. طيب. The other way, which apparently from its name is our favorite way in intersection, but it's not just because of intersection, but actually it is now it is becoming more the choice across most of the countries of the world. And the reason for that is companies like Apple and Google and Airbnb and Amazon. These guys achieved results beyond results, introducing new products with the other way around, which is design thinking, which is starting with the customer. And starting with the customer and design thinking, as we are going to see, has a different philosophy. Research shows that this philosophy, or the so-called design philosophy, that in the last 10 years, companies, that's a research done by Harvard and done by MIT in the US, companies and startups that adopted design and design thinking as an approach to their business were more likely to make at least 2.4 more revenue and profit than their competition. That's a statistical survey. It's a fact. We know now, today, and for a fact, that between 2013 and 2031, or between 2010 and 2021, just prior to COVID, that companies who adopted design thinking and the customer-centered approach to their business are making more than 2.5 times revenue and profit than other competition. So this thing is coming this is like the new kid around the block. Now, before we say design thinking, let's ask a question. What is design? Does anybody know?
Sir, can you repeat?
What is design?
Creating something.
Creating something. Okay, so that's partially right. Design is a creative process. That's part of the definition.
It might also be planning.
There is some sort of planning to it. Okay, that's another partial definition.
The process of creating something, like writing a sketch, drawing a sketch. To create something.
So it's a creative thing. Dana, what were you saying?
Your own creation.
Okay, so all of you see it as a
Putting
creative
something together or designing.
Process.
I mean,
Okay, Saeed, تفضل.
Process مستر. يعني something to create creating anything, mister, like designing a house like this, mister.
So all of you are
putting
focusing
something together or planning
putting
it.
something together. That's all creation. So let me ask you this question. What do you think is the difference between an artist who creates and an engineer and a designer?
There's
The
no
content that they
restriction
are
in art.
creating.
There's no restriction in art. The artist can do whatever he pleases. And then we have an engineer. An engineer can design with having like a set of values and measurements that he needs to live up to. And then we have a designer who is someone who can put things together, things that might already exist, but also in a creative way, sort of thing.
الو انتوا سامعيني ولا انا الصوت قطع عندي انا؟
هو قطع
أنا أسمعك.
We can hear you.
اوكي طيب what علاء said
ما سمعت أنا شيء.
is
can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you.
Yeah,
What you
okay,
said
so
is good, but you didn't differentiate between the designer and the engineer.
the engineer, I said he has some restrictions or how can you say it? Measurements that he needs, you know, to use. Or
So does the designer.
Sir, can I try to answer?
Yes, please يا مهرة اتفضلي.
So basically, the designer shows the engineer the product, and the engineer has to figure out a way to bring the product to life.
And the artist?
And
He's the
artist
creator.
to figure out how the design will look.
يعني that's not 100% correct, but it's not
أستاذ
100%.
أنا أنت.
اتفضل يا سعيد.
Artists express emotions and engineering solve a problem, right?
Yes.
And designers is plan and create a solution. It is right or no?
And plan and create a solution is not different than solving a problem, but that's partially right as well.
Thank you.
Can I try
So
to
could I add?
Yes, please.
They all create something, but for example, the artists create artworks like drawings and sketches. As for the engineer, he designs buildings and drawings that would eventually come to real life. And for a designer, he or she designs dresses and clothing. They all design something and create something, but for each person, it's different.
Well, that is not 100% true, Yarana, because engineers build buildings and designers are not just for clothing and fashion. They design buildings as well.
Mr. Could I add something? I think the artist will visualize what he thinks. The designer will make it more like realistic, so the engineer could build it.
There is a truth here that they work together, but it's not the difference. Okay, so does anybody want to add?
Maybe
I want to add something.
Please, Yaraghat, go ahead.
I will go back to the point that Sarah, I think, made, that the artist draws without rules. You know, it's his own creation.
Okay.
But the designer and engineer does have rules to work in.
Okay, but what is the difference between both of them?
Can I add something?
Okay, yes.
Maybe an engineer grapples with more practicality and something that's happening right now, something that could be touched, something that could be made into a real design or something like that. I mean, but a designer grapples with the more theoretical stuff.
That is partially right. What does more radical means?
I mean, practical.
What does practical mean?
Something that could be measured and actually put into real life, into like a model or something like that. That could actually be perhaps made into a building.
You were that close. You were that close, but you flipped it.
Let's something
because what the other, when you said make a model, that's what an engineer does, a model as well.
Let's tell them.
So let's first thing we have to know that you have to have a certain criteria to compare between different things. So you should state what are you comparing things against. Okay. Otherwise, you cannot compare. If I say what is the difference between oranges and apples, we will continue saying this. So the right guy will come and tell me, well, in terms of shape, they are both spherical, but they are different in color and they are different in taste. So he compared them in taste, color, and shape. So you have, whenever you compare anything, first rule as a designer is to choose the values or the properties. So since we are in business, the first thing we ask is, does he solve a problem? So the artist in reality solves no problem. He paints or sculpts. He doesn't solve any problem. But this doesn't mean that it doesn't have a need. Okay? So not all needs have problems to solve. But any problem that you're solving, you can refer it back to a need. Is that clear? Again, not all needs have problems. Everybody, if he can eat and drink, get married, have a family, he can spend on all of them, and he has extra money, he will have a need for beauty. Some express it in jewelry, some express it in paintings, some express it whatever. So there is a need, we call it self-actualization. That's a need, and there is no problems in it. Okay? But that doesn't mean that you can find a value proposition for a need. So not all needs have problems. But if there is a pressing problem for a customer segment, it definitely has a need that you can trace it back to. So problems do not exist in a vacuum. They belong to needs. But not all needs have problems. So in that sense, the artist is answering a need. A need of creating something beautiful for him and for others, but it's not a problem. That's why we have what we call a taste. والمثل المصري بيقول ايه؟ لولا اختلاف الأذواق لبارت السلع. Okay? Right. So he doesn't solve a problem. What does he focus on? He focuses on aesthetics. From which point of view? His own point of view. So an artist, when he makes a sculpture, he's not saving a problem, he's not solving a problem. He's mainly focusing on aesthetics from his own expressive point of view. Knowing that that statue he's making will find a buyer in those 7 billion people. So now, does an engineer solve a problem? Yes.
Yes.
What is his focus?
Others
Building, I think.
No, the problem is his focus. Engineers, by training, their definition is to solve problems effectively. Effectively means that the problem is as solved as possible with lowest cost. And here, the expression of cost is based on his estimation. Okay? That's the engineer. Where a designer also solves a problem. But his focus is on what? On people. He focuses on people. He doesn't solve the problem from the point of the problem. He redefines the problem. He adopts people's point of view. So he solves the problem with focus on the customers who are having that problem and doing it in the customer's own point of view. And since somebody, I don't remember who, mentioned fashion, there are two types of fashion makers out there. People who know and call themselves designers, and some of them call themselves artists. Those fashion artists make very few things and they are very weird and a very few people buy them. But a fashion designer like Eli Saab, does anybody doesn't know Eli Saab? How many of you know Eli Saab?
Me.
Girls most probably know Eli Saab. Eli Saab has an aesthetic eye, but he knows very well the reason of his fame is that he does not get Elisa or Nancy to wear the dress he wants. No. He is well known and respected because Elisa goes to him and tell him, well, I have this party and I envision myself in diamonds. Maybe diamonds is not a fashion. It doesn't tell her, no, you stupid lady. You don't understand. I am Elisa. No, diamonds are not fashionable anymore. I will make you wear this. And no. His role is to make what she wants and people will love. And it becomes a new fashion. He doesn't impose his idea. It's not about the idea. It's about Elisa. It's not about him. It's about Nancy. It's not about him. It's about that bloody rich bride that went to Elisa to make her wedding dress. It's about her and what she wants in that night. It's not about him. That's design. So a designer, and in that sense, in big projects, designers lead other designers, engineers, and artists. So the most famous automobile car designer in the world is called Chris Bangle. He graduated from the School of Art as a product designer. But he had a passion for cars, so he started before we had multidisciplinary design schools. He started in Chrysler and thrilled at Fiat, and eventually when he resigned after 7 years of leading the design in BMW. 17 years. He is responsible for all the visual and mechanical language that you see in BMWs today. He resigned 4 years ago to open his own firm. But he's a designer, he's not a mechanical engineer. But he led mechanical engineers, other car designers, furniture designers, light designers, light engineers, electricians. It's his vision. And he drives his vision from where? From his customers. That's why BMW made so much fame in the last 20 years. Because it expressed very well the problems and the needs of their target customer, which are sporty drivers from both sexes. So that's the main difference between the three of them. And that's why it works with business very well, because business is all about people, is all about the customer. So if business is about making a customer and keeping it, and design is about finding what a customer wants and giving the best thing for the customer, they should be married. Okay? Any questions here?
Sorry, I didn't get why the engineer's point of view is himself.
Because he's scientifically, as you all said, he has not measures, he has scientific calculations that he has to go by. Let me give you an example. Does anybody know an architect known Frank Lloyd Wright? An American architect that died in the...
No.
Frank
I
Lloyd
just
Wright.
know Zuha Hadid. Sorry.
Let me show you the example, but just to make it close to you. Images, falling water, house. Yes, salam. It's a beautiful place. Images. Let's get large images. Large images, large images. Okay. Stop sharing. Share. Bum, bum, bum. This house, it's called Falling Waters. Where is the picture? Pictures, pictures. Here they are. Okay. You see, the important thing I want to show you here is this picture. The picture is, the home is built like a cantilever or like something that's protruding free in the air. This was built 1935 over a water falling stream. You see? The living room has
Yes,
a...
this one is design, right?
Excuse me, that's a designer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
The living room has a hole here. You sit in the living room, you look at the waterfall. That's what he wanted to do because his customer had this piece of land and he wanted to enjoy the stream summer and winter. When they came to do it, he had to get engineers to calculate how this is done. So the engineer's focus was on the problem. And they told him it cannot be done. Calculation-wise, by that time, it cannot be done. So how did he build it? He built it empirically. What does empirically means? Trial and error. He made a real model with a scaled down 10 times of that balcony and took the best calculations that was done by the engineers, because he's not focused on the calculations, he's focused on doing what his customer really wants. And those calculations didn't allow him to make that hole. And he started making small mock-ups with concrete, trial and error. He makes them. He kept lowering them until he got the minimum before they can break with the normal load. And that's what he did. That's because he's a designer. He's gonna do what he believes satisfies the need of his customer. If he can't do it, he will redefine that need and go back to his customer and discuss it with him. An engineer typically will tell you, yes, it can be done. No, it cannot be done. When you grow up a little bit and become more entrepreneurs, you will see this with IoT and AI. You will come up with product ideas that will revolutionize the world. And your developers will tell you, sorry, it cannot be done. They are not trained to work around. Is that clear, Mahra, or did I lose you? شباب سامعيني ولا وقعتوا مني؟
سامعين.
Is it clear or did I lose you?
كل شيء فاهمين.
كثير.
أسهل ما شاء الله أستاذ عليك. الله يحفظك.
الله يخليك ربنا يعزك. Okay, so this is the main difference between them. So when we come to define بقى design, let's answer the question. بنقول إيه؟ إنه design is the ultimate creative process. It's a creative process, as you all said, but it is practical. It combines progress. Because it's creative process, but it's meant to do something usable, it understands that if I keep creating and making best and best and best, and I wait until I have the best thing, I will never have anything. Because it's progressing. Yani if you guys decide to change the TV, we want to get an Ultra HD TV, LED, but you will wait for the latest technology to come out. You will never end up buying a TV. That's a problem with business, but design understands that. So we in every path of design except architecture, which I come from and Kariman comes from, that's the most difficult one. Why? Because the iterative process in it is so long. That's why in office buildings we came up with the solution of open space so that we can change the internal design which people use frequently as their needs change. So design in its essence is all about progress. It's a creative process, but it has logic. It's about progress. And it's not just for architecture. It is not just for products. It is the creation of new, innovative, meaningful things. True design always have meaning. Why? Because it expresses what people want. So it has to have a meaning for the people. So design is about creating innovative, meaningful things, being that interactions, objects, systems, services, clothes, toys, entertainment, name it, anything.
Everything around the human.
Anything around the human. And design thinking is democratizing this. Because true designers like myself and like Kariman, even after we graduate, we do not receive education. When you ask, you are all going to go to college, when you start getting to introducing to colleges, if you happen to go to an international college in UAE or go abroad, you will find that design is called training. We don't call it education. You find an architect proudly telling you, I was trained as an interior architect in MIT. Trained. It's a practice. And it's like law. There are certain things that we have to know, but it's after that, how much did I practice using what I knew in reality? So designers, by definition, they take a long time to be there. Okay? Design thinking is a simpler way to enable entrepreneurs and teams to combine what people want
using
with
technologies,
technology, existing technologies, no inventions, and the meaning of a business success, which means it's profitable. And People really want. So I see what people want. Use technology in my design so I can give it to them with a good value and make a profit. So it keeps going around. If I do this, the intersection of these three circles is innovation. We borrow in design thinking the skills, major skills of a designer. Designers are trained, as we said. What are they trained to do? 5 things we're going to take. They're trained to do a lot of things. But as an entrepreneur, you only need 5 skills. The first 3 is observe, analyze, and synthesize. You need to have an observant eye. You have to observe very well. And what you observe, you be curious. What you observe, you analyze it. Then you will find things that are not matched to synthesize.
Try to make it a habit to observe anything, every detail around you every day. Try to make it a habit in your daily routine. And then after you observe, you have to analyze. To analyze, it needs to have a pen and paper with you every time to sketch, to type and to take notes, and to analyze what you observe into points, into a schedule, whatever. And then synthesize. After you observe everything around you and analyze it, you like synthesize it to interact.
يعني you observed that that's a project I did and I'm very proud with. I had a customer 7 years ago who asked me to build him a kennel. Does anybody know what a kennel is?
No.
A what?
A kennel. K-E-N-N-E-L. It's a dormitory. It's a dormitory for dogs. Okay? So suddenly I found my customer that I'm designing for are the workers in the dormitory and the dogs. Because my customer or my client expressed to me that he had a problem working with one other dormitory that after the dogs go there, their owners don't get them back. And when he asked them, they told him the dogs came not healthy. So I started observing dogs. I love animals and I had a dog, but I never thought that I will spend time observing a dog, analyzing and asking, why does he do this? It's summer and it's 40 degrees Celsius and he goes and sits in the sun. Why? So I started doing analysis. So I understood that dogs, for instance, can only make calcium when they have their fur subject to sun. And then you have to try to put this information. How do you make this work with another piece of information? This is synthesis. So the design thinking uses these skills in 5 stages. And the 5 stages are non-linear and they're iterative. You have to take it one step by a time. The first step is people. You have to start with the people. And we call it empathy. Empathy means you have to understand your customers very well.
Put yourself to your customer.
To the degree that you put yourself, you can talk instead of him.
Yep. feel what he is feeling, hear what he's talking about, what he's saying, observe what's his behavior.
So, and empathy is different than sympathy. When we observe people,
then we can define the problem.
We redefine the problem, because most probably we started observing them because somebody told us something. But that something might not be the real problem. So usually we redefine the problem. When we redefine the problem, we can ideate. And we don't say make an idea, we say ideate. After we ideate, we choose the best solutions and we build them in prototypes. Why do we build them? Number one, for us to see it, and then to test it with people. And based on the feedback, we jump to any step and go back again. So in empathy, hi Kariman.
لا كنت بقول لهم it's not linear process and you can iterate in any stage of it.
Iterate. You can start with any. Empathy is the first thing. We do empathy how? By observing people first. We do not ask people. We spend a lot of time observing people, taking notes, taking photographs, listening to what they say to each other. It's like a shadow. You're like not existing. And every day we observe, we go back as a team, and we sit down and write our observations. What did people say and what did people do? Day after day, we start having a clearer picture of what they want in the domain that we are trying to solve problems. Then we might find gaps. So we engage with them through interviews, not surveys. Surveys comes in a later stage. As an entrepreneur, you interview, because an interview means open-ended questions.
Try to ask questions without an answer with yes or no, to to open the conversation between you and your customer.
Okay.
If you ask the question ends with yes or no, the interview will end very quickly, because he simply will say.
And you will know nothing. What do you want to know? You want to know, you observe him. You see what he says and what he said. What he did. احنا في مصر وانتم بالتالي عارفين المثل ده، اسمع كلامك اصدقك، اشوف امورك استعجب. So you want to interview to them to understand why is this discrepancy. Usually you get how he thinks and how he feels. This means that you empathized and immersed with your customers. The very first person who did this is Henry Ford when he innovated the car. He didn't ask people, and he had a very famous quote. If I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. So what do you think is the value, is the real problem with horses that Henry Ford solved with the car?
What is the value of the car?
Speed or
no.
speed?
The horse is speedy.
It's dangerous.
No, horses are very peaceful and loyal. They're very intelligent animals. Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid زعل منك كده. one of the all-time horse lovers في العالم يعني.
Is it like more comfy?
No, by the time with the horse, they had beautiful gilded carts, handmade leather, very comfortable.
The horses might get tired.
A car can break.
اوكي بس السيارة ما فيها بريكس.
ما فيها؟
انت قربتي.
لا
عربية.
السيارة ما تاخذ فيها بريكس، السيارة تروح مشوار سفر.
ايوه بس ممكن تبوظ، ممكن تعطل، تسخن.
الهورسز محتاجة تريننج عشان احنا مثلا لما نيجي مثلا نوصلها ولا مثلا يعني ازاي نمشيها ازاي نوقفها، محتاجة تريننج، محتاجة حد عنده خبرة مع الهورسز.
يعني
Sir, can you repeat your question?
Yes.
Can you repeat your question?
Question is, what is the real problem that Henry Ford observed with horses that he saw a huge opportunity in it, which became the value, the main value of the car?
You can rely on horses more than cars.
What?
You can rely on horses other than relying on cars.
No, people relied on horses very well and they still love them until now. And even though they got replaced, they are still one of the most expensive things on earth.
I think I have an answer.
Yes, please, تفضلي.
So he noticed that people need faster horses, which made him think about إنه يسوي شيء ثاني يكون أسرع، ينقص الوقت اللي يحتاجونه إن يوصلون من مكان لمكان. Because horses, they're fast, but like sometimes they need something which is like faster than horses. And that's why cars have a higher value.
قربتي.
It's about time?
No, it's not about time. كم حد فيكم هنا who has a pet? Does anybody?
They can get ill. They can have problems sometimes.
They can have what?
They're alive, so they have other problems.
Exactly. It's not about tired. They have a mood. If you watch سباق حواجز, you will find a very well-known jockey with a very famous horse, and he jumps the first 5-6 obstacles very well, and he come on a very normal obstacle and he doesn't jump. يكفل، بنقول الحصان جفل الجواد.
لأنهم مهما كان عبارة عن روح.
لأنه روح. He has his own emotions. So, in that sense, the same horse, in the same traffic, for the same ride, he takes it today in 5 minutes, tomorrow in 10 minutes, the day after tomorrow in 7 minutes. He has a mood.
You can control your speed.
So the value of the car is not speed.
Controlling.
The control.
The most important part of the car.
Yeah, the predictable, standard, same control every day, every second. You can accelerate whenever you want, decelerate whenever you want. والشباب والصبايا alike, when you go to buy a new car, the very first thing you ask about, even if you're not a speed lover, does this car, how much does it take for this car to accelerate from 0 to 100? How many seconds? That's the main value.
3 seconds.
However, you mentioned that a car could get ruined or it could have other problems in the engine. So isn't it the same as horses, that both of them?
Horses can get sick. That's different than having a mood. If the horse is working, it still has a mood. If the car is working, it doesn't have a mood. You will control it.
All right.
Okay? So he expresses that he had to observe that to know it. Because people really didn't know what is wrong with the horse. If they know that he's an inventor, and everybody thought it's about speed. It's not about speed. It's about controlling the mood of the horse to control the time. You want to be predictable. If traffic is the same, I have the same horse and I'm going to the same ride, why it takes me 5 minutes today and 10 minutes tomorrow? Doesn't make sense. Okay? We'll watch a quick movie. Very, very quick. And I would like to know what you think about empathy. Hello?
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
we can.
So بعد ما بنراقب الناس كده ونempathize معاهم ونعرف قالوا ايه What did they say? What did they do? Healthcare is one of the most difficult things because there is a lot of people with different needs. We analyze the data using something we call the empathy maps. We put the group of people, we give them a name, and then we write what did they feel and how did they think on the upper half. What did they say and what did they do? When we compare do's with says, we have needs. And when we understand the feels and the thoughts, we have insights on those needs. Okay? So usually empathy ends with the needs and the insights behind these needs. So now we can go and define or redefine the problem. Redefining the problem is pretty easy. We call it a point of view. But we develop this point of view in what we call an actionable, human-centered problem statement. That's the meaning of a point of view. It has to be from the point of view of the customer. How do we write it? And why do we want to do it like that? We do it like that because it gives me room to ideate. Because I can say, how might we solve? And we say the problem statement. So we start thinking. And we can compare the solutions to the problem statement. It has a simple format. You start with the user, not with the company. The company doesn't show at all on the problem statement. It's not about you. It's about customer. So we say user needs to, we state the needs or the need that we found from the analysis, and we say because or but or surprisingly, and use an insight. For instance, teenage girls in high school, they need more energy. They have higher metabolism than in the rest of their life in that age. So some health problems arise from that. So maybe I am a startup who want to take an opportunity. So I shouldn't say I'm gonna sell snacks to teenage girls because they don't have cheap snacks at school. It's not about you, it's about them. So a better problem statement would be teenage girls at high school needs to eat a snack to stay alert or to thrive during the day. Yet, which is a conjunction word, it has to be healthy because they build most of their essential minerals in that age. You see the insight along with the need and the users. This fuels us to come up with a lot of ideas. How might we make a snack that is organic? How might we make a chocolate bar that is from natural goods? How can we give teenage girls more calcium without drinking milk? How might we? Lots of ideas. After that, we ideate. We have a problem statement, we sit together and we ideate. In ideation, we use the rest of the skills. We can observe, we analyze, and we synthesize. Now, we sketch and build. And don't tell me you don't know how to draw. If you can draw these 5 shapes, you can draw anything. So we sit together, we start sketching ideas, and we think outside of the box, come up with all ideas we can come up with. We do not judge ideas. We stay visual, we sketch, and we use different techniques to generate as many ideas as possible. We stay visual, we use the primitives, and we use words with drawings to use the both sides of the brain. So you can get creative. Out of the box, use different techniques to get as many ideas as possible. The techniques are like brainstorming. Everybody knows brainstorming. If we get stuck, we can turn it into a joke. What is the worst idea possible? How can we make teenage girls unhealthy? Or what like is the worst idea for them to be healthy? Starts.
In ideation, it's about quantity, not quality. So try to bring out all of the ideas in your mind, all of the group, without any judging of any idea, even if it's silly.
Generate as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And ده مش وحي. يعني الله يخرب بيت التلفزيون والسينما اللي فهموكم انه الديزاينرز والفنانين كده بيحششوا يشربوا خمور وحشيش ويقعدوا كده والدنيا تنزل عليهم في نصاص الليالي. It's not true. There are 101 techniques to generate many ideas. One of them is called Scamper, which is an abbreviation for substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to another use, eliminate, and reverse. To give you an example, McDonald's invented or innovated the help yourself, your order by the counter. They substituted, they used the substitute. They thought, what might happen if we eliminate waiters? So they substituted the waiter by you. You wait yourself. That came up with the idea, your order by the counter. The iPhone. Let's watch this.
Today, we're introducing 3 revolutionary products of this class. The first one is a widescreen iPod with touch controls. The second is a revolutionary mobile phone. And the third is a breakthrough internet communications device. So, 3 things: a widescreen iPod with touch controls, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communications device. An iPod, a phone, and an internet communicator. An iPod, a phone. Are you getting it? These are not 3 separate devices. This is one device. And we are calling it iPhone. Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone.
So Apple used combine. The whole innovation of the phone was based on combination. They used the second part of Scamper to reinvent the smartphone. The first rolling ball pen was invented in 1953 by by a journalist called Laszlo Biro. In 1965, entrepreneur Helen Brandt put the rolling ball, to another use for deodorant. That's how innovation happens. There are techniques to come up with ideas. The key is understand the problems, the needs of the people, and ideate as much as you can. When we do that, that's put to another use. That's the P. After we ideate and we decide on a couple of ideas, we prototype. Prototyping is usually inexpensive versions of the problem solution, so that we can quickly share it with people and get feedback. Materials to do rapid prototypes: paper and glue, foam core, polyester, thermoplastic, polyethylene boards, wood, clay. All of this you will find in hobby stores, and you have one hell of a hobby store near Barsha. If it's still there, huge, you'll find all of this there. To build inexpensive models of anything and finish it with some graphics and paint. There is a workflow, only you have to understand what you want to build, sketch some layouts, print out your templates, and build the parts separately, add them together, and finish them. To give you an example, before we close up today, this is...
Do we have a name for it? Toasty. Toasty, the interactive toaster. Hi, my name is Andrew Brace. I'm a prototyper here at Quirky. We have 3D printers and CNC machines, but whenever we first start to prototype our ideas, we typically use materials as simple as cardboard or paper, things that you'd have at home. It's cheap and easy to be able to get a sense of size and scale and form, and it's just a very approachable material. For the sake of illustrating our prototyping process, we decided to create an interactive toaster. It has a touchscreen that allows you to draw your own design, and it will replicate that design by burning it into your toast. Before you jump straight into it, it's always a good idea to try to sketch out your idea, to figure out roughly the size and shape of it, and also give you an idea of how much material you're going to need and how you might approach cutting and gluing and things like that. We start off with a box, as simple as possible. We cut out our 6 sides, we taped them together, figure out some of the details and the size and scale of the knobs and the screen. After the first model, we had a better idea of what we wanted the final prototype to look like. We were able to use less pieces, which you end up having a more refined looking model because you don't have as many part breaks. In order to achieve these rounded edges, I incorporated a technique called scoring, where you cut just the surface but not quite all the way through, and that lets you bend the material in various ways. The lever detail on the side of the toaster, the design called for a round knob, and to achieve that in cardboard, we basically cut a series of circles that got smaller as you went towards the outside and stacked them up to build up the 3 dimensions. It's actually really challenging to cut a curved line into a piece of cardboard. Instead of trying to take it all at once, you make several small cuts to round out the edge. The whole purpose of prototyping is to get that idea out of your head and put it into some sort of format that other people understand. With a little thought and creativity, you can convey any idea to anyone, and it helps you make informed decisions about your refinements later on in the process.
With the prototype, we go into testing. As we said, testing is very simple. We use the prototype and log, question it against the criteria, jump to any step if necessary, and iterate. The important thing to remember from the genius Steve Jobs, design is not just what it looks like and feels like. Design is how it works. So that brings us back to the value map. It's all about the functionality. Your solution or your idea that you prototype and test and people start liking is your actual value proposition for your business model. With that said, what is a business model? A business model is simply that idea, how you are going to create it in reality, how much it's going to cost you, how will you deliver it to your customer, and how much money you will charge against that. That's a business model. So the business model has a value proposition in a product or a service with a defined customer, that's 2. How you're going to create it, that's 3. How will you deliver it to your market it and sell it, and how much you're going to take back. That's a simple business model. Your exercise, guys, today, actually tonight, and sometime of tomorrow, is to write your business model on this following template that will be sent to you by the competition. You will write, if you have a logo, that's fine. If you don't have a logo, forget the logo. Your idea name or your business name. And maybe you have a vision with that idea or a promise, just write it. Then we go into what is the problem worth solving? What is your solution? And who is your customer? And how big it is? Who is your competition? Don't tell me you don't have competition. Nobody has no competition. None. How will you sell it? Online, offline, in store, through retail, through distribution, through auctions. What will you make as marketing activities so that your customers know about your product? Word of mouth, Facebook ads, blogs, content, YouTube channel. And who is your team? And why they are good and can provide that solution. Is that clear? Any questions? How does this work? Focus on value. Start small and iterate. Most important, get out to the customer. Assess and change, pivot if you need. You made a prototype, you showed it to customer and they told you it's shit. Change it. Why shit? Okay, yes, it is shitty. I am with you guys. Why is it shitty? Listen from them. Understand what is the real problem. Go back, ideate, make another prototype and get out. Again, be agile, get busy. Get out of the office. Entrepreneurship doesn't happen in offices. Iterate, pivot if needed. And as Kariman told you from the very beginning, pivot is not a failure. هقول لكم حاجة مع الاعتذار للإخوة المصريين اللي موجودين والاعتذار للجماعة بتوع الاي او تي تشالنج، هم عارفين انها حقيقة. Maybe in UAE and the Gulf area you are slightly luckier than الشباب في مصر. You come from a trading and the services background. So the ethics or the essences of business is in the culture. In Egypt, you don't have this. So the idea of failing is a big problem. ضيعت فلوس ابوك وامك يا فاشل يا فاشل. شركة ايه اللي عايز تعملها؟ ما تروح تشتغل موظف. You don't have this culture. So don't fall in the dogma of others. ما تعيش في culture مش بتاعتك وتخاف انك تفشل. Pivot is not a failure. Thank you. Any questions?
No, thank you so much. Oh, thank you, sir.
It's not a question, however, it's a request. Is there any way we can get this PowerPoint?
is this any way you can get this PowerPoint?
Yeah, there
Usually,
are
you can get the recording, but you cannot get the PowerPoint.
Okay.
Maybe we can, just for you guys, if we have time after GITEX or before GITEX, I will see. Maybe we have something. We have a book of design thinking that we distribute usually for free that has most of what we have here. Maybe you can make it simpler, but it's meant for people who are more experienced than you guys. If we have time to simplify it, I will give it to Hussein and make him distribute it among you.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're more than welcome. بأمانة قبل ما نمشي لو حد تاه عشان أنا حسيت في الأواخر كده إن أنا ممكن أكون توهتكم.
لا كل شيء تمام الحمد لله.
كله واضح؟
مشكور أستاذ ما قصرت.
هنشوف برزنتيشن، هنشوف بزنس مودلز قوية بكرة عشان نقلبها برزنتيشن جامدة. Okay?
إن شاء الله.
Yes. But how can we get the recording though?
Yes, this is with Hussein. Hussein.
Good. Thank you so much يا جميل أشرف وإنجينير كريمان. يعني أنا بقودكم دايما. Yes, guys, we will send you an email with the presentation template. I think Engineer Ashraf, the business model, we will share it with you. Prepare it and work on it. And tomorrow we will have like the presentation or pitching, as we are saying it, as we are in the business camp now, training tomorrow. So we will send after then, maybe after the 20 minutes from now, the recording for the whole session, okay? And all the documents you will work with.
Okay, Mr. There is a question that's like it's been roaming around the chat and like it got me confusing. So the submission date is like in 9 October or 10th October?
Okay, we will have a submission after the camps because we have a camp today, tomorrow, and after tomorrow. And after then, we will have a final submission. The submission will include your presentation, your final presentation or your final pitching deck, and a video that you are talking about your project. This submission will be on the 10th of October deadline. Is it clear?
Yes, it is. Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
لا ما ينفعش. عزة لا ما ينفعش تسألي لا. No. Go ahead.
When we send or present our project and when will the winner or those who will be qualified be announced?
The finalist team win will be announced. Is it right? I heard it.
Yeah.
The submission deadline ends at early 10th, and we will have after then at the end of the day, we will announce the teams who qualified for the finals for the UAE challenge for the schools track. برضو Engineer Ashraf to know يعني these are all the teams who are participating with us for this year, and we have the finals of the UAE challenge on 12th of October, and the top 10 teams will be qualified to the judging day on 12th, and the top 3 teams will join us in GITEX.
Inshallah. Hey, so we will meet somebody.
Yeah. 3 of the teams at the end we will meet them. But before this, the submission is regarding qualifying teams to the UAE finals.
What are the prices?
Thank you. لو حد عنده أسئلة أو anyone have a question?
Mr. I have a question.
Yes, فاطمة اتفضلي.
Where should we send our presentation and video? Is
We
it in the email?
No. We will send you a form. Everything will be clear. يعني دايما احنا our communication method is the email. Our mails are very clear. We'll send and we will follow up with you on this. Don't worry, we are replying to you as soon
Which
as
date
possible.
you are going to send it?
It will be after يعني if on the 6th, but يعني you can prepare your presentation tomorrow's session and the video after tomorrow's session. We will send it and the deadline will be 10. So you will have like a 4 days and 1 day to make the submission.
For sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
When you mentioned recording, you mean that we would be presenting it while recording it and send it to you, like us with the team?
I said only the recording of this video for today's session. We will send it to you as a YouTube video. It's streamed on YouTube. Okay, so we will send it again. you have to revise to get it to back when you need. Okay, but the video record submission, it's like a video. We'll make a presentation and we will see you. It will be like video. We will send you all the details of this video. Don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
The video training will be tomorrow. You will give it to us.
No, the video of the training, we are sending it day by day. So the today's session will be sent after a while from now, maybe after 20 minutes.
No, he's talking, I think he means the presentation training.
Oh, yes, sorry, yes.
Yeah, we call it pitching, not presentation.
Yeah.
And you use what you will learn tomorrow to build the video that you will submit. And that will be tomorrow, inshallah, from 5 to 8.
And there is a certain template for that presentation, or it doesn't matter? It's just like a sequence or something, or tomorrow we will know?
Tomorrow you will know.
Inshallah. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Any questions? لو حد سوف anybody is try from you can open the chat please safe. حد عايز يسأل يتكلم.
A quick question, because just to make things clear, it will be 7th, the submission of the video and the presentation, yes? Because I saw this on the chat.
No, the submission is on the 10th.
10th, by mistake they wrote 7, yes? Because you would just said it, but I'm just confused.
No. It will be open until 10th. Don't worry.
Inshallah. We still have time, inshallah.
Oh, yes.
Actually, we are racing the time, you know?
Yeah, I know. I think you're a teacher or you are...
I'm the supervisor and the students are here as well. But you know, sometimes they are hesitating to ask. So I was pushing, so I'm asking now the questions.
No. It's good. And I think we covered all in in the 2 days ago in the main session that we had with teams, and we answered their questions. You can get back to it, send it to your teams to get all the answers. Thank you, Majid, and anytime.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, may I ask what is your expectations?
Yes, what's our expectations, Dana, from which perspective? You mean for the
presentation-wise? No, just presentation-wise, what would you like us to explain? Our models, should they be actual models or could they be 3D? So I just want to know your expectations and what could we do the best possible thing.
You will know.
You'll know that tomorrow. For now, what you really need to work on is the template that we'll send you today. That is the parts of your business model that we talked about. You have to at least have these to be able to tell a story, which is who is your customer, what is the problem worth solving, what is the solution, how big this customer is in terms of a market, how will you sell it, how will you market it. Okay, you at least have to know these to be able to tell your story.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good for now. So thank you again and see you tomorrow. Thank you, Engineer Ashraf. Thank you, Kariman. See you tomorrow, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Bye.